Elon Musk has promised that he's gonna make Twitter better to use, have less spam, and make it more fair and neutral. Now, of course, he's been responding nonstop to right-wing grifters and con artists this entire time, calling into question which side he actually is most interested in. Neutrality doesn't really seem to be it when you're responding to these people. But understand that the right-wing concern about Twitter has always been that they're not fair enough to right-wingers, that they shadow ban them. Now, bear in mind that research projects have shown that the algorithm of Twitter advantages right-wingers, not just in America, but in countries around the world, more so than it does the left. But they have had a problem with the idea of shadow banning, even if they could never prove that it was actually happening. It is apparently coming now. Take a look at this.
But if we can get enough verified users, and we're going to prioritize Twitter search, replies, mentions by verified users first. And yeah, this is if you're payment verified with blue checkmark, then you're prioritized, and hateful conduct pays. But if somebody risks losing even $8, the net effect will be over time that the verified users will pretty much always be at the top of comments and search, and you won't really see. You'll have to scroll far to see the unverified users, which will be the bots and trolls and whatnot.
Okay, so that was incredibly clear. They are going to be shadow banning people who don't pay them. Okay, they'll say it as the people who pay us are advantaged, but if you don't pay, your replies, your tweets will be pushed down by the algorithm, okay? So they've been saying they don't like shadow banning. They're introducing shadow banning. They're going to extort money out of you, or else your replies and comments and all of that will not be seen by the people you want to see it. It took less than 2 weeks to move from comedy is legal, everything's gonna be neutral, we're down with the shadow banning, to reversing on literally every part of that, Dan.
Yeah, I don't think conservatives realize this yet, because this was predicted by a lot of folks that he is going to have to go back on many of the promises that he made by buying Twitter, that he was going to get rid of shadow banning, that he was going to get rid of bots, he's going to expose some of the things that are being done on all these platforms. But yeah, he's gonna have to go back on all these things because he's gonna have to run a business that advertisers want to be on. I mean, yet another thing he tweeted was saying that something like back in the day, this is how news used to be carried or whatever, and it was like a soldier carrying birds in the background. That was actually referencing a like Nazi imagery or something like that. Like, eventually, Elon Musk is gonna have to realize, advertisers may not want to advertise and spend money on a website where the CEO is tweeting Nazi imagery at random. Like, it's just a surprise. Like, you may not know this, but you may wake up and realize that you, chief marketing officer at Pepsi, is advertising on the Nazi website run by yet another American Nazi adjacent car lover.
Elon Musk can say whatever he wants about free speech, which to him seems to be there being no consequences whatsoever for absolutely horrid, racial harassment, targeted harassment campaigns, those sorts of things. He's been letting all sorts of people who've broken the prior terms of service of Twitter back on. But at the same time, I want to be clear. The worries about Elon Musk is not that anything will go. I know it's easy to think that's what the worst case scenario is. The worst case scenario, though, is not just that nobody's suspended anymore. The worst case scenario is that right wingers are allowed to do and say whatever they want, and Twitter is used to silence the other side. And there's already reason to believe that that's happening.
Yep.
A group has the Elm Fork John Brown Gun Club has already been suspended. That is a group that stands guard at LGBTQ events. You can see a post here from Steven Zeddy posting about this being suspended. We're not gonna run through all of the accounts that have been suspended, but there have already been a number of independent journalists, leftist organizations, anti-fascist organizations, they're being banned at the same time that this general amnesty or whatever is going on for people who have previously been banned for racism, anti-Semitism, misogyny, transphobia, and all of those things. So again, it is true to point out that he doesn't actually care about free speech in the way that he does. But to be clear, it is not just that he's going to take off all the limits. No, He is spending his days as a reply guy to right-wing grifters and delivering for them that which they want, which is not free speech. It is advantage over the other side. They want shadow banning of the other side. They want literal banning of the other side, and Elon Musk is already delivering that to them.
I think that's a really important point, right? Like, if this is a space now where white nationalists can roam free, and then that's literally all Twitter is becoming, which is just a space to fight Nazis. And if you're down for that, cool. And I would argue that the majority of people who are down for that are people who aren't always in the crosshairs of Nazi and white nationalist ire, i.e., I think white people feel a little safer to stay. Men definitely should feel safer to stay. Whereas definitely women of color that I know have been like, peace, see you later. Black women in particular, who already, without Elon taking the helm of this thing, have been in the crosshairs of the majority of online harassment, right? Yeah. But now, it's like, okay, well, so if this is gonna be a space where we basically fight fascists, or fascists get to say whatever they want, but then you're banning Antifa, well, that's not a fair fight, as John points out. Like, suddenly it's very different. And look, I'm mourning the death of Twitter because I think there's something fun and uniting about having a common conversation with strangers that is not mediated necessarily by television, right? It's not mediated by CNN or MSNBC or Fox News for that matter. It is mediated where, yes, a viral tweet about someone teaching their kid how, or not teaching their kid how to open a jar of beans or can of beans is like, that can be a conversation. I mourn the death of that, right? But we gotta go other places. And I think there are things that already exist that we can go, but it's going to change. And maybe something new will rise from its ashes.